holidays cause some confusion because it overrides the regular parenting schedule. See what I mean? So if you both agreed, either formal or informal, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now you have Easter week. Now you have Thanksgiving. What happens there? The holiday schedule overrides it. But if you don't have a holiday schedule, what happens? Welcome to Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind. I'm Corey Shapiro. The goal of this podcast is to help you come from your wiser side when you're activated, when you're stressed. And how can you do it? Because for years, you've been doing that stress response, right? And you've been acting out, right? So the goal of this podcast and the training we do each week, I'm here each week helping you just get a little better each week, is to pause. And hopefully some of these episodes will flash in your mind when you come up with some of these issues you see in your divorce. And that's the goal of this podcast, to slow you down so you don't act out and make mistakes that may have problems in your divorce and maybe with your children's relationship. And I'm also trying to make your divorce stage easier. This is phase 1. This is get clarity. Phase 2 is get going. That's a divorce stage. That's what you do with your attorney. And then phase 3 is get your life back. I want to accelerate that process. That's what I'm doing. In today's episode, we're going to talk about holidays. This is December, and if you haven't figured out your holidays yet, this is the time to do it. And I want to show you, I know this is more of a get going, we're really dealing with something practical, but I just want to show you how you think about these things from a clarity perspective if you haven't done your holidays. So if you haven't done your holidays, you're going to enjoy this episode, and that's what we're going to get into. Let me give you some concepts to think about. You got regular versus holiday. You got regular parenting time versus holiday parenting time. Now, regular parenting time is what's been happening. It can either be informal or formal. When I think of informal, I just think about you could even be living together and you can just one parent does Saturdays, one parent does Sunday. That's an informal parenting arrangement or parenting plan. Now, if you separate it and it's informal, it could be one parent always has Monday and Tuesday, one parent always has Wednesday and Thursday, and you alternate Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you've been doing that now for months, but nothing has been written down. Again, that's a regular parenting schedule. That's informal. Now, formal is where you have something written down, not just confirmed by an email, but in an enforceable agreement. Each state's a little different. Here in New York, you have to have it signed. You have to have it acknowledged like a deed. That's a formal parenting plan. Now, if you're listening to this podcast and this is really meaningful to you, I'm assuming you haven't worked out your holiday schedules. You probably have either an informal parenting plan where you have a regular parenting plan, but not holidays figured out, not vacations, or you might have what we call a temporary parenting plan. Could be in writing where you just did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but you haven't really gotten to the holidays yet. That's what we're focusing on here. Now, my example is holidays cause some confusion because it overrides the regular parenting schedule. See what I mean? So if you both agreed, either formal or informal, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now you have Easter week. Now you have Thanksgiving. What happens there? The holiday schedule overrides it. But if you don't have a holiday schedule, what happens? Well, let me give you some things to think about. First of all, in a higher conflict divorce, you got to be clear. And when I mean clear, I mean super clear, crystal clear. Because what does Thanksgiving mean? To some people, it might mean a day, that Thanksgiving day. To a lot of people, it means that Wednesday before school through Sunday. That's Thanksgiving break. What is Christmas? Is Christmas just that day, Christmas Day? Is it Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? Is it the whole break for vacation from when school ended and when they go back after New Year's? Is that Christmas break? Is that winter break? What is that? You see all these problems? So that's what we want to think about. The main point is Your traditions are going to change. And if that's painful to you, you have to understand that. Your traditions are going to change. And there's grieving there because you might have been married for decades and you had a certain way of doing things. You know, we always went to my family for Thanksgiving, and that's what the kids really enjoyed. And now the other parent's changing that, and they're fighting you because maybe they never really wanted to go to Thanksgiving. They wanted to do Thanksgiving at their other house, and they gave in all these years. Okay, now what's the point here? And that leads me to my power phrase. You don't have to win the holidays. You don't have to win the holidays. This is not going to court and proving your case. What you're trying to do is create peace, create happy memories for you and your kids. And you do that by thinking about these holidays well in advance, not in December where you have just a few weeks, what we're doing on this podcast. But hey, maybe you didn't know you're getting divorced and this is where you're stuck now. But for next year, think about all of your holidays. And that's my action step for you. I want you to think about all of your holidays, write them down, that are important to you. Even the 3-day holiday, start from the beginning of the year. Start with Martin Luther King, start with President's Day weekend, keep on going. Easter week, Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day, Columbus Day weekend, Thanksgiving, all the holidays you can think of, Christmas, New Year's. And how are you going to figure this all out? Now, I'll tell you what, let me just give you my lawyer hat. If you're in a high conflict divorce, the court's going to try to figure out what you did last year. So if one parent had Thanksgiving last year, they're probably not getting it two times in a row. So if you're in these high conflict divorces, you're just going to alternate. So one parent gets Thanksgiving, you can define that, just make it equal. If last year they got Wednesday through Sunday, that's what you're going to get this year. If they only got the day, then that's what you're going to get this year, if you can't agree. And same thing with Christmas and New Year's. You got Christmas Eve last year, you're not getting it 2 days in a row. Another way to do it, if you're a little less at each other and you're thinking about this maybe from a higher level, is if you like the traditions, maybe you and your soon-to-be ex can say, hey, you know what? It's really important to me. I always have Thanksgiving. I know Thanksgiving's not as important to you and your family, but I know Easter is. So can we trade Thanksgiving for Easter? Or, hey, for example, I'm Jewish and my wife, she's not Jewish. She's always going to get Christmas Eve. That's so meaningful in their relationship. Now, in her family. And for me, we have Hanukkah. Hanukkah is generally, it's 8 days. It generally doesn't fall on Christmas. Sometimes it does. But we have 8 days. It's never going to be a problem. But if I celebrated Christmas and she did too, maybe we're going to alternate it. Or maybe I always get Christmas, day and she always gets Christmas Eve. Whatever you can come up to. You're not going to get this type of flexibility and creativity in a higher conflict situation. Just remember that. So that's my thought to you. My power phrase, again, you don't have to win the holidays. This is about creating peace. This is changing, coming up with new traditions. Now, I believe you can do this. I know this is tough. I know getting a divorce and starting this in the holidays, all this stuff is overwhelming. And I know coming from your operator's side where you're so reactive is so natural. And I'm asking you to come from your architect's side, your responsive side. And that's why I'm doing this episode. So now you're thinking about things at a higher level and you can slow down and you can let these things settle and you can make proposals that are creative, that really work for you and your family, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So plan all these holidays out as far in advance as you can. It's like getting a prenup. You don't wait a month before the wedding to get a prenup. You do it hopefully a year in advance, or if not, 6 to 9 months in advance, not a month in advance. It's the same thing with the holidays. You got this. I know you do. I know it's tough, but I believe in you. I believe you're strong. I believe you can overcome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for doing the hard work. I'm honored that you tuned in. I'll see you soon in the next episode.
This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area.